world where stability often seems fleeting and the weight of life's unexpected turns can leave even the strongest feeling lost, stories of resilience serve as both hope and challenge. Imagine a mother caught in the chaos of abandonment, her world crumbling while she balances the delicate responsibilities of raising a child alone. Her future, once seemingly within reach, now appears clouded by uncertainty and despair. This reality is harsher than many realize, yet it is also filled with unspoken strength and a desire for renewal. These women often find themselves at a crossroads, caught between the remnants of what once was and the daunting prospect of starting anew, with no clear guide or support system in sight. Amidst this landscape of struggle, there emerges a story rooted in compassion and radical hope. It's a story that challenges the conventional notions of homelessness and isolation, highlighting instead the power of community and opportunity. A place where a mother's past circumstances do not define her future, and where she can reclaim her dignity through a chance to rebuild. Imagine a haven that offers not just sporadic assistance, but a comprehensive lifeline, an invitation to stay, to work, to heal, and to grow over an extended period. This isn't merely a shelter. It's a sanctuary for those who have been pushed to the margins by life's cruelties. This initiative, built on the belief that everyone deserves a second chance, provides an environment where the fear of being unnoticed or discarded is replaced by hope and purpose. For these women, the journey ahead is fraught with challenges, but it is also punctuated with moments of empowerment, learning, and connection. They are given 90 days, an entire season, to find their footing again, to regain confidence, and to forge a path toward independence that seemed impossible before. It's an ambitious project, not simply because it offers a place to stay, but because it tackles the root causes that keep many mothers stranded in cycles of hardship. The story behind this hotel for recomesos reveals a broader truth, that sometimes solutions need to be unconventional to create meaningful change. It highlights a belief that stability can be crafted from brokenness, that hope can be cultivated in the most unlikely of places. The women who walk through its doors carry stories of abandonment, resilience, and unyielding hope, each with a different background, yet united by their desire for a fresh start. Their journeys are individual, yet interconnected through the spaces of support that communities and innovative programs like this one aim to create. The core of this narrative is about transformation, not just for the women themselves, but for society as a whole. It questions how we define success and recovery, pushing beyond the simple act of providing shelter to fostering genuine empowerment. It's about recognizing that behind every statistic of homelessness or abandonment is a human being craving dignity and stability. The story that is about to unfold is a testament to the potential that exists when society chooses to invest in compassion over indifference and hope over despair. It invites us to reflect not only on what is possible, but on what collective action can achieve when driven by genuine care and innovative thinking. The journey ahead promises to reveal the intricacies of courage, community, and the unwavering belief that everyone deserves a second chance to rebuild their lives from the ground up. Building on this, exploring the deeper implications of offering extended residency and employment reveals a layered understanding of human resilience. When a woman is granted time, an entire season, to settle into a new rhythm, she is gifted a precious commodity that often seems in short supply: patience. This patience extends beyond mere temporal flexibility. It becomes an essential scaffold for emotional recovery. In environments where every day demands urgency, the luxury of gradual progress is transformative. It permits the soul to mend at its own pace, fostering self-compassion that is often absent in society's quick-fix approaches. Furthermore, this elongated period creates space for women to identify and cultivate their inherent talents, skills that may have been suppressed or overlooked during their struggles. The process of rediscovery becomes a catalyst, igniting confidence from within rather than relying solely on external validation. Moreover, job placement within this context transforms the concept of employment from a mere source of income into a statement of trust and validation. Imagine a woman who, after months of hardship, finally secures a position that values her contribution, however modest. This acknowledgement reinforces her sense of worth, breaking the cycle of internalized shame that often accompanies abandonment or homelessness. It's not just about earning a paycheck, it's about reestablishing social ties, restoring dignity, and witnessing her capabilities recognized again. Engaging in meaningful work also introduces routine, discipline, and a structure that nurtures psychological stability, creating a feedback loop of empowerment. This layered process underscores that employment becomes more than economic support. It becomes an act of societal affirmation. Transitioning from individual development to community integration unveils a crucial but sometimes overlooked facet: collective resilience. When a group of women shares similar hardships within a supportive environment, the dynamic evolves beyond individual recovery. They begin to forge a sense of solidarity, drawing strength from shared experience rather than feeling isolated by their past. This interconnectedness fosters peer mentorship, where those who have found stability serve as informal guides for newcomers. Such networks cultivate a culture of mutual upliftment, where stories of overcoming adversity serve as inspiration rather than cautionary tales. As these women form bonds, their collective agency grows, extending its impact beyond the hotel's walls into neighborhoods and social structures that may have once dismissed them. The process demonstrates that communal healing is a potent agent of change, capable of transforming marginalization into empowerment through persistent solidarity. Another crucial layer involves the ripple effect these initiatives have on societal perceptions. When programs fully embrace the complexity of each individual's story and demonstrate tangible results, they challenge stereotypes rooted in stigma and prejudice. Each success story becomes a testament to the fact that circumstances do not define a person's future. Choices, support systems, and opportunities do. These initiatives serve as living proof that transformation is not only possible, but also sustainable when rooted in comprehensive, compassionate strategies. Now consider how this perspective could reshape public policy and community attitudes, shifting the focus from punitive measures to proactive, restorative actions. Such a shift demands a reevaluation of societal values, prioritizing inclusion, understanding, and long-term investment over quick fixes. The implications extend far beyond the individual women involved, influencing how communities perceive vulnerability and resilience at large. Finally, one cannot ignore the profound spiritual or existential dimension that emerges amid sustained support and deliberate growth. When women see their lives gradually regain stability through deliberate effort, they often experience a reconnection with core aspects of their identity that may have been lost during periods of crisis. This process can evoke feelings of purpose, hope, and sometimes even a redefinition of self-worth that surpasses material achievement. The act of rebuilding goes beyond external circumstances. It touches on an inner renewal that reaffirms their intrinsic value. For some, this may mean reconnecting with spiritual beliefs or creating new personal narratives rooted in perseverance. For others, it's about reclaiming agency and the capacity to influence their destiny, however humble the beginnings. These internal shifts are the true foundation upon which lasting change is built, illustrating that recovery is as much about rediscovering inner strength as about external circumstances. Each step forward, no matter how small, reinforces the idea that resilience is an ongoing journey rather than a destination, a continuous process of forging identity amid adversity. Building upon the transformative power of structured support, it's vital to recognize that true recovery often hinges on reshaping perceptions of self-worth that extend beyond immediate circumstances. When women are immersed in environments that emphasize their potential rather than their failures, they begin to internalize a narrative of growth rooted in possibility. This shift operates much like an artist refining a rough sketch, gradually layering colors, textures, and details that reveal a more comprehensive picture of identity. It challenges the internal narratives shaped by years of hardship, replacing them with stories of resilience that are reinforced through deliberate affirmation and acknowledgement. As a result, women become their own advocates, realizing that their value is not solely tied to their past hardships, but is also intrinsically connected to their capacity to evolve and contribute. In this context, mentorship emerges as a crucial element, serving as a bridge connecting lived experience with future potential. When women are paired with mentors who have traversed similar paths and successfully rebuilt their lives, it deepens the impact of reassurance and hope. Mentors act as living proof that change is feasible, dispelling doubts that might otherwise fester in moments of uncertainty. Such relationships foster a sense of shared understanding that transcends superficial advice, offering guidance rooted in authenticity. Moreover, These connections can unlock unforeseen capacities, encouraging women to explore interests or talents they may have previously dismissed, broadening their horizons beyond immediate survival. This peer-guided system exemplifies a ripple effect, where one success story inspires another, gradually cultivating an ecosystem of empowerment that can ripple outward into wider communities. Expanding further, consider how this approach can influence societal structures by encouraging shifts in policy and resource allocation. When policymakers observe tangible benefits resulting from targeted initiatives, such as reduced recidivism, increased employment, and improved mental health, they become more receptive to innovative, preventative models. By documenting and emphasizing these outcomes, advocates can push for systemic reforms that prioritize upstream investment, ensuring similar programs receive sustained funding. Additionally, communities can harness this momentum to challenge stigmatizing perceptions, fostering environments where vulnerable women are embraced rather than excluded. It's akin to transforming a once barren landscape into a thriving garden, each new success planting seeds of societal acceptance, diversity, and resilience. Now, think about how this philosophy applies when you consider broader societal narratives and cultural norms. The stories society tells about hardship, failure, or dependency often serve as barriers rather than catalysts for change. By reframing these stories through a lens of empowerment, we shift focus from blame to understanding, from stigma to support. This reimagining requires active effort to dismantle stereotypes rooted in gender roles, economic status, or social class, challenging the assumption that certain vulnerabilities are permanent. When communities begin to view vulnerability as an aspect of the human experience rather than a defining characteristic, pathways for inclusion and recovery open more widely. Cultural change, in this case, becomes an act of collective storytelling, one that elevates resilience and celebrates growth as universal possibilities embedded within the human condition. Furthermore, accept that recovery extends into the realm of recurring life challenges, exposing the importance of cultivating internal resilience that withstands setbacks. Actual progress isn't a linear trajectory. It often resembles a spiral staircase, where setbacks serve as both lessons and opportunities for renewed strength. Recognizing this, women can be encouraged to view setbacks as part of a larger process rather than signs of failure. When they understand that resilience doesn't mean avoiding hardship but learning to navigate it skillfully, their capacity for perseverance deepens. This perspective transforms adversity from a fork in the road into a stepping stone, encouraging women to develop adaptive coping mechanisms grounded in self-awareness and emotional intelligence. It also emphasizes the importance of patience and self-compassion, allowing space for growth to occur at its own rhythm, without undue pressure or unrealistic expectations. Finally, when you consider how internal transformation influences external circumstances, it becomes clear that nurturing a sense of agency is vital. Women who believe they have control over their decisions are more likely to engage actively in shaping their futures. This sense of agency fuels motivation and a willingness to embrace the uncertainties that come with change. When supported, women tend to become catalysts for neighboring communities, advocating for others facing similar struggles. Their stories evolve from personal triumphs into tools for collective advancement, illustrating how individual renewal can ignite wider social movements. Just as a single spark can ignite a forest fire, one empowered woman can inspire countless others to believe in their own potential and pursue paths of reconstruction and hope. This dynamic underscores that empowerment isn't solely about individual achievement. It's about fostering a ripple effect that elevates entire communities, transforming once fragmented lives into interconnected webs of resilience and collective progress. Now, consider how the act of fostering self-sufficiency extends beyond simply providing the means to survive. It involves cultivating the capacity to innovate within one's circumstances, even when external resources are limited. When women are empowered to develop new skills or adapt existing talents to meet contemporary demands, they begin to see themselves as architects of their own destiny. This shift in perception requires intentional exposure to opportunities that spark creativity and problem-solving, challenging the passive mindset that often accompanies dependency. For example, introducing digital literacy programs or entrepreneurial workshops can transform their understanding of potential. Instead of viewing their situation solely as a hardship, they begin to envisage pathways to financial independence through avenues such as online marketplaces, freelance work, or community-based enterprises. In this way, self-sufficiency evolves into a dynamic process rooted in adaptability, where each woman becomes a pioneer venturing into uncharted territories of possibility. Building on this, however, the importance of fostering a sense of ownership in their journeys cannot be overstated. When women participate actively in designing their own recovery plans, choosing what skills to acquire, setting personal goals, and identifying local opportunities, they establish a deeper connection to their progress. This agency transforms motivation from external pressures into internal commitments. For instance, rather than being passively enrolled in a program, they become co-creators of their development, which imbues their efforts with genuine purpose. Moreover, this approach encourages resilience by nurturing a mindset that views setbacks not as insurmountable barriers, but as integral components of growth. When women internalize control over their choices, obstacles become opportunities for learning and adaptation, reinforcing their belief that they possess the capacity to shape their futures actively. An additional layer to consider involves the social fabric that supports sustainable transformation. When communities invest in creating ongoing networks of shared knowledge and encouragement, it facilitates the transition from temporary aid to long-term resilience. Such networks serve as fertile ground for peer-led initiatives, where women exchange practical advice, celebrate successes, and offer reassurance during setbacks. Imagine a circle of women gathering regularly, sharing strategies for balancing childcare with new employment, or discussing coping techniques for emotional stress. These gatherings become incubators of collective confidence, where the collective wisdom accelerates individual progress. This communal approach also acts as a safeguard against relapsing into old patterns, offering a safety net of encouragement that bolsters perseverance and mitigates feelings of isolation. Now consider how reinforcing their identity as capable changemakers influences their integration back into broader society. When women recognize themselves not merely as recipients of aid but as active contributors, they shift from being passive beneficiaries to catalysts of transformation within their communities. This change can ripple outward, inspiring others who remain in marginalized states, catalyzing a virtuous cycle of empowerment. For example, women who have successfully started small ventures might mentor others or lead local initiatives, creating a culture of shared growth. Their internal acknowledgement of agency coincides with external recognition, fostering a sense of legacy that transcends immediate circumstances. This sense of purpose extends into the fabric of the community, demonstrating that individual empowerment fuels collective progress, and emphasizing that resilience manifests through interconnected efforts rather than isolated acts. Furthermore, redefining the notion of success introduces a more nuanced understanding of growth. Celebrating milestones becomes less about reaching specific material goals and more about cultivating inner strength and adaptability. When a woman begins to see her evolving identity, her confidence, her resilience, her ability to face new challenges, she perceives her transformation as a victory in itself. This reframing provides a sustainable foundation, as external achievements may fluctuate, but an internal sense of mastery can endure through adversity. It encourages women to view setbacks as part of a larger developmental arc, recognizing that every experience, positive or negative, serves as a building block for future resilience. The focus shifts from the destination to the ongoing process of becoming, which ultimately fosters a mindset capable of weathering fluctuating circumstances and embracing uncertainty with equanimity. Finally, internal resilience feeds into a broader, more profound sense of purpose that can redefine their roles within society. When women reclaim ownership of their narratives, they begin to see themselves as agents of change within their families, neighborhoods, and beyond. This internal shift ignites a desire to contribute meaningfully, whether through community engagement, mentoring others, or advocating for policies that support vulnerable populations. Their renewed sense of purpose often prompts them to seek opportunities for leadership, challenging traditional gender roles or social expectations that may have confined them previously. As their confidence grows, they become not only survivors but also architects of social renewal, inspiring others to imagine and pursue paths of hope and self-determination. Ultimately, this process underscores that resilience is not solely about individual strength, but also about the collective capacity to transform societal norms, creating a legacy rooted in empowerment and shared progress. Now, Envision how the notion of legacy extends beyond personal transformation to influence future generations within these communities. When women cultivate resilience that becomes embedded in their actions, stories, and shared practices, they inadvertently set in motion a cultural shift that can ripple through families and neighborhoods. Their newfound confidence often inspires their children to envision possibilities previously dismissed as unattainable, establishing a mindset that values perseverance and adaptability. This transmission of resilience operates as a legacy of hope, influencing children's aspirations and attitudes towards adversity long after the initial breakthroughs. It's not merely about individual success, but about planting seeds of endurance that will grow into a collective strength, shaping the community's outlook for decades to come. Meanwhile, the application of resilience as a communal resource invites a shift in how local institutions and organizations perceive and support these women. Instead of viewing their struggles solely through the lens of deficits, such as poverty or social exclusion, upstream programs can recognize resilience as a dynamic asset that, when nurtured, can bolster community-wide renewal. For example, establishing mentorship networks where women who have found stability guide newcomers leverages this resource. These exchanges not only expedite individual recovery, but also foster a sense of shared ownership and community uplift. Such strategies convert resilience from a personal trait into a collective wellspring that fuels ongoing development, transforming social structures from reactive responders to proactive enablers of empowerment. Furthermore, consider the impact of resilience on shaping local narratives around societal worth. When a community begins to acknowledge stories of perseverance as central to its identity, it creates a new cultural fabric woven with symbols of strength rather than stigma. Festivals, stories, and public acknowledgments that celebrate these narratives serve as a form of collective validation. They challenge existing stereotypes that regard vulnerability as a flaw, instead positioning resilience as a badge of honor that elevates communal identity. This cultural recalibration shifts perceptions, encouraging other marginalized groups to see themselves as vital contributors rather than outsiders. As a result, resilience becomes a rallying point, an emblem of shared human capacity that redefines community values from shame to pride. In addition, embracing resilience on a broader scale demands an innovative approach to education and skill development. Now think about how traditional training programs might evolve when they incorporate resilience building as a core component. Rather than focusing solely on technical competencies, they would include modules that foster emotional agility, risk-taking, and adaptability. For example, integrating experiential learning exercises that simulate unpredictable challenges can prepare women to navigate future setbacks with confidence. This approach recognizes that resilience isn't an innate trait, but a cultivated skill, one that can be strengthened through deliberate practice. By embedding these principles into vocational training or life education, programs not only equip women with tangible skills, but also embed a mindset that transforms obstacles into opportunities for growth. Another facet to explore is how resilience influences decision-making processes under uncertainty. When individuals internalize that setbacks are part of a spectrum of growth, they become more willing to undertake initiatives that once seemed intimidating. Now, consider how this perspective alters risk assessment within community development. Women who have experienced and cultivated resilience tend to approach risks differently. They are more tolerant of ambiguity and more willing to experiment with new ideas, even if failure looms. This mindset can invigorate local economies and social projects, encouraging innovative ventures that challenge conventional constraints. Their courage to step outside comfort zones becomes contagious, inspiring others to adopt similar attitudes, thereby fostering a climate where calculated risks are seen as catalysts for progress rather than threats to stability. Lastly, a deeper layer of resilience involves the ongoing process of self-reflection and reinvention. When women actively analyze their experiences, identifying patterns of breakthrough and setback, they hone their ability to adapt strategies with increasing sophistication. This introspective practice acts like a compass, guiding future responses and helping them avoid repeating past mistakes. Think of it as a gardener trimming and cultivating a landscape. Deliberate pruning allows new growth to flourish more abundantly. This continuous cycle of evaluation and adjustment ensures that resilience isn't static but a living, breathing aspect of their identity, capable of evolving with each new challenge. As they integrate this ongoing self-awareness, they develop an internal resilience that is flexible enough to accommodate change and robust enough to withstand trials, fortifying their capacity to face whatever comes next with confidence and grace. Drawing these strands together, we see a tapestry woven with resilience, agency, and communal potential, each thread reinforcing how transformation unfolds not as a linear ascent, but as an intricate dance between internal fortitude and external support. The narrative we've explored reveals that empowerment is less a finite destination and more an ongoing process of weaving strength into the fabric of everyday life, where each new challenge becomes an opportunity for redefinition. When individuals step into this dynamic interplay, their capacity to reshape not only their own stories but also the collective consciousness becomes evident, thus highlighting resilience's dual nature as both a personal virtue and a catalyst for social renewal. In light of these insights, the path forward becomes clearer yet remains complex, inviting us to consider the profound implications of fostering environments that nurture this delicate balance. It becomes apparent that authentic progress hinges on cultivating spaces where hope is not merely dispensed temporarily but embedded deeply within the collective mindset, inspiring continuous growth and adaptation. These spaces act as incubators of possibility, transforming the potential for change into a tangible reality that persists beyond immediate intervention. The challenge, then, lies in recognizing resilience as a living, breathing force, one that requires constant nurturing, reflection, and reinvention, rather than a static trait to be measured or prescribed. It beckons us to envision communities where the act of rising after every fall is celebrated not as an anomaly, but as an essential rhythm of human experience. Reflecting on this journey so far, it becomes evident that the true power resides in the interconnectedness of these ideas. Each element, whether personal renewal, community solidarity, or societal recalibration, serves as an integral piece within a larger mosaic of transformation. The notion of a single individual overcoming adversity is no longer sufficient. Instead, it is the collective resilience that sustains the momentum of change, echoing through the layers of society and shaping a cultural landscape rooted in hope and agency. Like a finely tuned orchestra, the harmony emerges when different voices, experiences, and strengths converge, producing a resonant symphony that underscores our shared capacity to transcend limitations. The journey thus points us toward a recognition that meaningful progress arises from the delicate balance of internal resolve and external support, each amplifying the other in a continuous cycle that fosters renewal and growth. As we approach the threshold of the final reflection, it becomes vital to perceive this intricate interplay not merely as a series of isolated steps, but as an interconnected web of possibility. The threads we have examined, courage, community, reinvention, are not standalone solutions. Rather, they are facets of a larger, more profound dynamic that continuously shapes how individuals and societies respond to upheaval. In this context, resilience emerges as both a spark and a reservoir, initially igniting the potential for change and then serving as a wellspring from which renewed hope and strength can be drawn repeatedly. Understanding this interconnectedness invites us to embrace complexity, recognizing that fostering durable transformation requires attention to the subtle, often invisible currents that sustain human endurance. It urges us to consider how collective effort and individual resolve intertwine, creating a momentum that is resilient and adaptable, capable of weathering the inevitable storms that accompany significant change. Ultimately, these reflections prepare us for the final turn, an invitation to consider how all these threads converge into a compelling narrative about what it truly means to rebuild and reinvent in the face of adversity. The details of that culmination await, but the underlying realization is already taking shape, that resilience is not a static virtue but a dynamic, living force that flourishes when rooted in trust, shared purpose, and unwavering belief in the human capacity to transform. As we edge closer to the conclusion, it is this very vitality, woven from the collective strength and individual courage, that promises to illuminate the path ahead and inspire renewed hope at every turn.